Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
Hey, I'm back. As you can see, a lot of stuff has accumulated in my puny little brain that I've wanted to talk to you folks about. But I've, like I said, I've been really busy, and I want to give you as much action with the animals and less of me as possible. I am not the focus of my productions. My animals, or the animals, are the focus, and that's the way I like to keep it. However, there's some things that go on periodically that require my big mouth to sound off. One of those things is, and it's becoming more and more of a problem, and it involves certain legalities and responsibilities that those of us who keep venomous reptiles need to pay attention to. And no, I don't make a lot of friends, but I can sleep at night because I speak my mind. There's been a lot of sales of venomous reptiles to individuals that shouldn't have them, basically. Either they're unprepared or unqualified to keep them. And this causes problem with both the community, law enforcement, fish and wildlife, and of course this impacts all of us who are, I would say, responsible reptile owners, and I really don't care, and I know promoters and vendors will not like what I have to say, but once again, what I say is what I perceive the situation to be, and what I perceive the corrective action should be. Now no, you ate yesterday. Leave me alone. Black Bomba's eyeballing me. Like, what the hell are you doing sitting there? Bring me some food. Ow. Never stick your finger with a gaboon viper shed fat. That's not good, but that's what I'm toying with as I speak. Let me back up a little bit with some news events. A few months ago, there was a big to-do in New Jersey, and of course I'm going by media publications, and those are always full of inaccuracies as well as blatant lies. So no one can really exactly tell unless you speak to the people involved yourself. A fellow from New Jersey, where it's completely illegal unless you have a permit to own venomous snakes in your home. Now, the People's Republic of New Jersey, a rather Gestapo-like state, in my opinion, I'm surprised you don't need a permit to breathe in that state, because they regulate virtually everything, including things that are guaranteed by the Constitution, which I happen to agree with. At any rate, an individual from New Jersey came to Pennsylvania, allegedly purchased a rattlesnake and a venomoid Naya cayuthia, monocle cobra, from an individual here in Pennsylvania. I don't need to to name names because that's not my point here at the moment. That person brought the animals home to New Jersey on a Sunday and promptly got bitten by the Naya-Cayuthia. Not a terribly big surprise. He waited, well, first of all, it was supposed to be a venomoid, but guess what? It was either a botched venomoid procedure or it wasn't a venomoid at all. I don't know, but he was envenomated quite severely and was pretty gray looking by the time his wife decided to call 911. Now, everybody knows if it's illegal in New Jersey, you call 911 and you're keeping a foreign venomous snake or any venomous snake in your house, that there's going to be some legal consequences afterwards. So, you know, people are rather hesitant, and I can understand that, in calling for medical assistance. Well, this fellow was nearly dead, was airlifted to one of the New York hospitals where he was intubated, put on a respirator until some antivenom could be procured and be infused into his body and counteract the effects. Well, as you can imagine, that created quite a large repercussion through the community. Oh, venomous people are totally irresponsible. No, they're not totally irresponsible. There are some individuals that are irresponsible and impact the rest of us that, you know, do things correctly, or at least try to do things correctly. And that's one incident. You know, New York is a permit state. You have to have a venomous permit that's, you know, up to date. It has to be valid for the animals you're keeping. It's not just a blanket permit like in Florida. You need, you know, the Fish and Wildlife people in New York. You register the species that you have and the numbers you have, and you can't change or exceed that until you get their permission to add something to your collection. Okay, there's been this young fellow that I've known for a while who's seems to be getting ready for a good career in politics, because every time his lips move, he's lying. I won't mention any names, but you know, he wanted to buy something from me, like I think it was a Naya Polita or something, a redneck spitting cobra. And I said, yeah, okay, send me your permit. So he sends me his permit, and like any other responsible person, I contacted New York State, the Department of Fish and Game, or Environmental Conservation, or what the hell they call themselves in New York. That really doesn't matter, but they're the overseers of this permit system. Well, they respond, yes, he's a valid holder of a venomous permit, and he's allowed to have this animal and this animal. So I write back and I say, okay, am I allowed to transfer this animal to him, you know, because he has a valid permit, or, you know, or does he need to amend his permit? What's the deal? Because I want to know what the facts are, so legally I can transfer this to the animal, to the guy. Now, you know, he already has, you know, a couple of cobras. You know, his qualifications. If New York State's going to issue him a permit, I consider, you know, him probably competent, but if New York State says he can own venomous snakes, who am I to say that he's not? let the chips fall where they may. Well, subsequently, New York State Fish and Wildlife writes back to me and says, no, you can't provide him an animal until he amends his permit. Okay, that's clear. I know what I have to do. So I email this character and say, look, I checked with the New York Fish and Wildlife and such, and they said, yeah, your license is valid, which is cool, but you need to amend your permit so you can keep this particular animal, the Nyapolita. Well, this kid goes off on me like you can't imagine, probably because he was keeping other snakes unbeknownst to the actual regulation in New York. You know, he went off on me because I contacted Fish and Wildlife. What am I supposed to do? I am not going to compromise my integrity nor do anything illegal to provide anybody a venomous snake where it's not allowed. If you have the permits are valid, cool, no problem. I'm not going to break the law and take a chance of you getting bit without the proper paperwork, because then it comes back to me. And sooner or later, these agencies where irresponsible people move snakes across the line are going to come after the perpetrators, and they should. That leads me to the final piece of my puzzle here. Now, I have no idea how long I'm babbling for, but these are all very important, salient points and such, so bear with me. Last time at the Oaks, not this weekend, as in yesterday, but the previous Oaks show, there was something funny going on that I noticed. First of all, we have a number of lovely young ladies that go to the venomous shows and stuff. However, when you see a gal this primped and proper and looking quite lovely with no tattoos or no piercings, something's up. I'm not saying tattoos and piercings are bad. I'm just saying I noticed the difference. I'm a scientist. I observe. I notice differences and questions arise. What can I say? It's just me. I also noticed that she had an entourage sort of with her, a guy with a video camera, and they were videotaping things. And they also had a guy from New York State who has a valid venomous permit, is a competent keeper, but he's sort of a turncoat. Everybody, has to be a media whore these days, and this guy's no exception. He didn't do us any favors, and I'll put a link up where you can download the video from this TV show that I downloaded, and you can watch it for yourself. See, my friendly neighborhood stink bugs are here. Just a digression. Last night I was working with the snakes and stuff, and I'm working, and I sort of scratched my ear, behind my ear, and it's like, oh, what the hell is that? All of a sudden I smell something that smells like cilantro. Well, it's like, oh no. Well, I disturbed a stink bug who was snuck up and was hiding behind my ear, of all things, and I plucked them off and put them on the table and stuff, but it was like, ew, stink bug behind my ear. It's like a new aftershave or cologne or stuff. Well, at any rate, I live in Spider Central now, which I don't have a problem. I generally get along with insects very well. I'm actually very happy that I've got lots of insects in the house, including stink bugs for the most part, and as well as many, many little spiders and all sorts of arachnids. And I've got a colony of fruit flies which I propagate downstairs, and let them loose so the spiders can eat. I'm a very friendly guy to nature. People, not so friendly. But at any rate, back to the story. So this was actually a reporter from the TV tabloid show. That's the only way we can really describe it. You know, they do hit pieces on people and things under the guise of investigative reporting. Well, the show's called Inside Edition. Sort of like the Inquirer of the TV airwaves. Occasionally, like the Inquirer, they get a good story and it's very good for the public and stuff. But this was just a hit piece because they didn't provide any other side of the story or any other points. Well, talking to a vendor at the show, this reporter, in less than 5 minutes, and these are her words, not mine, and you can watch the video and you can make your own decision on it, purchased a young monocle cobra, Nyacyuthia, you know, in its little deli cup, and you know, went outside and said, "Look, do you know you can buy venomous snakes in less than 5 minutes at one of these shows?" Not really good. Then their plant, who does have a venomous license, bought a rhino viper from a vendor and was acting like it was, you know, an armed nuclear weapon. Okay, it's a rhino viper. You know, if you're that uncomfortable being around a rhino viper when it's in its, you know, a deli cup, you probably shouldn't be keeping that. Furthermore, this reporter, with the help of this turncoat, purchased a eastern green mamba from this couple down in North Carolina. I think it's called the Green Desert. You'll hear it on the video. I've heard other not so good things about these people. And had it shipped to New York. No questions really asked, other than, you know, the guy they were talking to, the turncoat, was able to, you know, qualify himself as a real keeper and knowledgeable about the animal and everything else. And had it shipped to Kennedy Airport. You know, and of course these shipments go on a passenger plane, so of course the reporter had to make a big deal out of that. It's really not a big deal. People are the most dangerous thing on the plane, not the snakes in the cargo compartment. But that's just me, okay? I don't overreact to things. Well, first of all, yeah, it's nice that they ascertained that the person on the other end of the phone was, you know, someone who knew what he was getting and knew about snakes and had venomous snakes and was qualified. You know, that's step number one that you have to do. Step number two is where they screwed up. Oh, you want me to ship it to New York? Well, why don't you send me a copy of your valid New York State permit, like I asked this kid to do, when I was going to provide an animal that was going back to New York? Of course they didn't, and that was a violation of the law, and it made us all look bad, including all the other vendors, you know, and I'm not pointing my finger. I know, you know, my friend Mitch at Diamond Reptile is really good about this, and several others. You know, they make sure that what they're doing conforms to the regulations, but other vendors don't. And what we have to do is we have to come up with like a uniform code of ethics for vendors, and if you're not going to comply with this, or you're not going to at least make an effort to comply, yes, there's people that will try to pull the wool over your eyes, and if that's the case and you've done the right steps and stuff, well, okay, you did the best you could. Things aren't absolute, and you'll find devious, deceptive people everywhere. However, there's no excuse for not knowing the venomous snake regulations for wherever you're shipping. One, there's a couple different websites that you can use as a reference, or you can pick up the phone and call that particular state's Fish and Wildlife office and find out directly, and ask them for a reference or to fax you the regulation saying that you can or you can't, and get the information. So at any rate, this was a real problem. And yesterday at the Oak Show, I went back and I know the promoter, the primary promoter, very well, a good guy and stuff. I didn't have so much a problem with him, but I had an issue with his partner and their so-called security guy, because basically I felt like, well, I'll say it as my friend Bob said it, they were just licking my balls to make me feel better about what I had to say. And I agree with Bob that it basically was lip service, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because they said, look, and they handed me this piece of paper, which is the Expo sheet, which governs your right to vend there. Venomous animal regulations will be strictly enforced. Please read. Well, I would read if my glasses were unfogged. But strictly enforced, the show where this lady was from the show Inside Edition, the first thing I came across that particular morning was a vendor, and I believe I made note of this on my Facebook channel, where the snakes were in deli cups, but none of them were taped closed. And when I picked this Cerastes up to have a look at it, because I really like Cerastes, the damn lid popped off in my hands. Now, if that was a mamba or a cobra or something, and not a relatively sedate viperid, that could have been problems. We would have had a loose venomous snake in the building. Worse than that, if that had been a kid and their fingers went over the lips and the lid popped off and somebody got bit, that would be the end of venomous shows, period. Now, I'm not trying to pee in anybody's swimming pool here, but what I'm trying to do is save what's left of the hobby, so the people that do it responsibly can still do it. I am called a dick. I don't make very many friends at this. Well, I don't care what you think about me. I care about the hobby. I care about the other responsible vendors and owners out there. That's what I care about. I care about the animals. I'm sorry. I'm going to make waves. I'm going to make noise. I'm going to be a pain in the ass until we can fix the problem. And, like I said, these people were really not interested in what I had to say. I told you that the containers are supposed to be taped at every venomous show. These rules will be strictly enforced. Well, then how in the hell did the vendor get in there and the show open with containers not really taped? I brought this to the attention of the promoter, and he said, go over and tell him to tape them. Well, it's not my job. It's not my show. However, I did when the lid popped off, I told him in not so very nice terms that he was an idiot and needed to tape the containers closed before somebody got hurt. Which he did, not the correct way. You've seen on my videos where they've been electrically taped all the way around. Some people actually staple them, which is fine, and then tape over it. He just put, you know, cellophane packing tape over, you know, 2 sides or 4 sides. You know, that's just, if you're going to do something, do it right. You know, don't be an ass and do it half-assed. So what I'll do is I will come up and consulting with some few friends and stuff, I'll come up with a few additions to the list that I personally do if I happen to vend at these shows. Now, I very seldom vend at these shows simply because most of my animals are a little too hot or a little too difficult for most, you know, to sell at a show. Because simply, when someone comes up to me and asks to buy something, I will talk to them and ascertain whether or not they seem qualified or not. Then I'll ask them for references. Who have you bought from previously? And sometimes I'll even call those people, because most of the people's, you know, I have in my cell phone. So I'll call and say, hey, you ever sold to this guy? You know, is he okay to sell to? You have any problems, any reservations or stuff? And then lastly, I'll ask, well, let me see your driver's license. I don't care what's on there, but I do want to make sure that you're legally of age to purchase this particular animal. Technically under 18, if you're over 18, you're allowed to purchase venomous snakes in this particular state. However, I will, the show made a point of pointing out that people have to be over 21 to purchase venomous snakes at this particular show. Oh, right. Okay, it looks really good on paper, but I bet none of your vendors ask for any proof that they're 21 or older. So I asked for a valid driver's license, and it has to be a Pennsylvania driver's license with a, you know, current address and stuff. And also they have to be of the proper age. And then I will probably sell it to them, you know, if it's something that's not too hot or too difficult. Typically you'll see me there with gaboons or rhinos, which are quite dangerous, but, you know, have a limited area, and if you stay out of that, you'll be okay. Certainly, you know, some of the arboreal vipers I'll sell, squamagers, you know, any of the Theris group, and such. But, you know, I sort of, you know, make sure that the person is okay. You want back on me? I don't know what's so exciting about crawling on me that this stink bug needs to do that, but it's been over here at the edge of the table. Pick me up, pick me up. Okay, now I'll close with another ridiculous sort of thing that happened recently. One of my YouTube fans wrote me and said, I just got a gaboon viper. I wrote back and said, oh, okay, well, good luck, be careful. No idea who this person is or anything. Well, he writes back to me, and this is the crux of the problem, is writes back to me and says, gee, I'm worried about what to do if I get bit. Well, geez, you think you would have spent 2 minutes to think about this before you bought the gaboon viper? My God! Are you a Darwinian in some, you know, a contestant for the Darwin Awards? You're just waiting for your chance? Come on, use sense. These are dangerous animals. despite the fact that, people call me the snake whisperer, and, I can work with the animals and with reasonable comfort and safety. But if you're a novice, starting with a gaboon viper is probably not your best first choice, and then not knowing what to do if you got bit other than to kiss your ass goodbye, that's just plain stupid and irresponsible. And I suppose this person probably lives with other people, so he's putting them at risk too, because if he's stupid enough to be like that, he's probably got it in some container that it could potentially get out. At any rate, for people that, yeah, what are you looking at? You're waiting for food too. A little eastern brown snake is peering down at me. He's a very shy guy like the girl, and it really is amazing that these are so feared in Australia, but these two guys are just so shy, and they absolutely don't want any confrontation with me at all. I mean, I'm being nice, and they're still hiding and very shy. Okay, but back to the last point that I like to make in this epic long video, and I hope people checked it out and stuff. I have some, I brought up some very important issues and stuff, and we need to think about these things, because if we don't police ourselves, the government would certainly be happy to do it. They can't address the difficult problems like jobs, the deficit, crime, and drugs, but they can certainly, bother the hell out of, snake keepers and stuff like that, because it's an easy thing for them to do. They're not, who are the snake keepers? Oh, well, they probably don't even vote, so they don't have any problems screwing us. It's the people that pay money into their campaigns, the lobbyists, that they pay attention to, not us. So my recommendation is, if you have venomous snakes, whether you're a beginner or an expert, you need to have a book that contains your bite protocols for every snake that you have. Sorry folks, I needed to do a bit of an edit here. There's some problem with my camera, that it's running and it seems to shut down for a second or two and then restart videotaping. So there's a few seconds missing, and I have to reshoot things like I am now. No, this is not at one of the Nixon tapes or anything like that. It's just that the camera really is having an issue, and I might have to send it off for repair. Okay, back to what I was saying. You need to contact my friend and colleague Joe Pittman at the Florida Snakebite Institute. Joe is a highly qualified emergency room RN, snakebite expert, very experienced. He's also worked in the poison control centers. Great guy. He produces some very high quality and highly recommended. As a matter of fact, some zoos even use it, so it passes their muster. Snakebite protocols. You contact him via email or phone or whatever. You tell him what species you're keeping, and he has custom, he has snakebite protocols for that particular species of snake that he sends you with all the proper documentation and information. So if you're bitten, you can give this to the ER doctor when you get there. So at least they have some place to start, because most doctors will have never ever seen a snake bite or treated one, and sometimes I think that puts you in more jeopardy than the actual snake bite itself. I have no problem going to an ER and letting them treat any of the common illnesses that one might have to present to an ER. And no, I don't go for a flu or the cold. But if you're injured in an accident, or you're having some serious medical issues with bleeding or vomiting or anything like that, and they take care of those all the time. Heart attack, stroke, that sort of thing. Snake bite, they never ever see. And one thing you want to make sure that when you're seeking medical treatment in any way, shape, or form is the more that they see it, the more they're familiar with it, and better they are at treating it. It's just like, if you need heart surgery or brain surgery, you're not going to go look, at least I hope you're not going to go look for a bargain basement guy, because you want the very best people that do this procedure all the time. They do it as a team. Their success rate is huge. And it's the same thing with snake bite. Having Joe's protocol on hand will definitely give you a leg up on obtaining proper treatment, and also the fact that if you insist that they call, for instance, the Tucson Poison Control Center, my good friend and director of the Poison Control Center, Dr. Leslie Boyer, said, have them call us no matter what the snake bite might be, because we'll advise the physician on what to do, and we'll make it clear to them that nasty things like fasciotomies are things of the past, if you're worried about that. You need to have this protocol. It's only $5. That's all Joe charges. That covers the cost of producing the manual, and any residual leftover money goes to his snake rescue organization that he runs there on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Someone was actually giving the guy a hard time about charging $5 for a protocol. Come on, knock it off, people. Everyone has the right to expect some return on their investment in time, especially if it's a medical personnel. He doesn't have to do this. He puts his time into it. Charging $5 and having the money basically go to his nonprofit, that's very reasonable. And I would spit in your face if I ever saw you and you were cheap and chintzy like that. If you can't afford $5, don't be involved with venomous snakes, okay? Because a snake bite is going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars at least. You have no business being involved if you don't realize the risks. Case closed. So that's what you need to do. I'll close out this before I babble any further. I'll keep you up to date on what's going on with these issues. If I don't get some satisfaction from these local shows, I just simply won't go there and vend. I'll go there and I'll buy stuff as far as supplies and stuff, but I won't buy any snakes, and I won't buy, I certainly won't sell any snakes there. It's as simple as that. I just refuse to be part of something that will eventually cause the destruction of the hobby. I'm just not going to do it. Okay, that's all. Take care.